From red carpets to cold prison walls, these once beloved celebrities lost everything in the most shocking ways imaginable. Fame, fortune, and adoration vanished in the blink of an eye, replaced by handcuffs and haunting regrets. These stars weren't just imprisoned by steel bars. They became trapped in the wreckage of their own catastrophic choices. The truth behind their falls from grace is darker than anyone could have predicted, revealing how quickly glory can transform into infamy when power corrupts absolutely. Before we uncover these jaw-dropping celebrity downfalls, smash that subscribe button and hit the like. You won't believe how far these stars have fallen. War Machine, The Cage Fighter's brutal reality. Jonathan War Machine. Copenhagen dominated inside the octagon with fists of fury and a massive fan following. But outside the ring, his violence turned horrifically real. In an attack that stunned the sports world, War Machine brutally assaulted his ex-girlfriend, adult film star Christy Mack, leaving her with 18 broken bones, a ruptured liver, and a face nearly unrecognizable. The courtroom evidence painted a grotesque picture of relentless violence driven by control, rage, and a deeply fractured psyche. The jury delivered justice with a guilty verdict on 29 felony counts. War Machine received life in prison with parole possible only after 36 years. Once cheered by thousands of roaring fans, he now sits in complete silence, surrounded by the devastating consequences of his uncontrolled brutality and shattered dreams. Suge Knight, The Fall of Death Row's King Marion. Suge Knight ruled as the fearsome godfather of West Coast rap, co-founding Death Row Records and launching legends like Tupac and Dr. Dre. His empire was built on intimidation, chaos, and street justice that eventually consumed him. In 2015, that empire crumbled in a moment of tire smoke and tragedy. Surveillance cameras captured Knight running over two men during a parking lot dispute, killing one instantly. The incident sent shockwaves through the music industry. The kingpin of gangster rap had become a murder defendant. Facing life imprisonment, Knight accepted a plea deal but couldn't escape justice. Sentenced to 28 years, he now resides behind bars, stripped of the luxury and absolute power he once commanded. His legacy remains forever stained by the violence that defined both his rise and his ultimate destruction. Elizabeth Holmes. Silicon Valley's Golden Lie. Elizabeth Holmes was Silicon Valley's golden girl, young, brilliant, and hailed as the female Steve Jobs. She promised to revolutionize healthcare through Theranos, and a revolutionary device that could run dozens of medical tests from a single drop of blood. Investors poured hundreds of millions into her vision while the media crowned her a tech queen. But everything was built on deception. Theranos' technology never worked, and behind the glossy facade lay fraud on a massive scale. When whistleblowers and investigative reporters exposed the truth, her house of cards collapsed spectacularly. Holmes transformed from billionaire to criminal overnight. In 2022, she received over 11 years for conspiracy and wire fraud. Gone were the signature black turtlenecks and TED Talks, replaced by a prison uniform and a legacy of calculated deception that fooled the world's smartest investors. R. Kelly, the King's Criminal Empire. Once crowned the king of R&B, R. Kelly's voice ruled airwaves while his music defined an entire generation. But behind chart-topping hits and seductive lyrics operated a predator running an empire of manipulation and systematic abuse. For decades, whispers followed him until the dam finally burst. Victims courageously spoke out, evidence mounted relentlessly, and his carefully crafted mask shattered completely. A bombshell trial revealed Kelly had orchestrated a criminal enterprise that lured, groomed, and exploited young women and girls through psychological manipulation. The testimonies were harrowing. the stories heartbreaking beyond comprehension. In 2022, Kelly received 30 years in federal prison. From Grammy stages to a concrete cell, his fall represents one of music's darkest scandals. No amount of fame could shield him from justice, and his once celebrated legacy now stands etched permanently in shame and criminal conviction. Harvey Weinstein, Hollywood's fallen kingmaker. Harvey Weinstein was Hollywood's ultimate kingmaker, the man behind Oscar-winning masterpieces and the most powerful studio in Tinseltown. He could make or break careers with a single phone call, wielding influence that shaped entire film industries. But behind the curtain lurked a predator operating completely unchecked for decades. In 2017, the dam finally burst. Dozens of courageous women stepped forward with horrifying stories of abuse, coercion, and career sabotage. The Me Too movement exploded globally, and Weinstein's name became synonymous with exploitation and systemic abuse of power. Courts delivered justice swiftly. 23 years in New York in 2020, followed by another 16 years from Los Angeles courts in 2022. Now Weinstein rots in prison, stripped of the glitz and glamour he once ruled with an iron fist, his legacy forever destroyed by decades of predatory behavior. Danny Masterson, That 70s Show's dark secret. Danny Masterson charmed audiences as the laid-back goofball on That 70s Show, with his magnetic grin and cool swagger. Behind his lovable character's charm, however, lurked a dark secret that would obliterate both his career and his freedom. In a shocking twist that rocked Hollywood, multiple women courageously came forward with harrowing sexual assault allegations. The explosive trial featured raw, emotional, and utterly damning testimonies that shattered his sitcom star image in real time. Evidence mounted, while Masterson showed no remorse as the court systematically dismantled his defense. The jury delivered a devastating guilty verdict, sentencing him to 30 years to life. Gone were the punchlines and audience applause, replaced by the cold clang of prison gates. Once a rising star adored by millions of loyal fans, Masterson now spends his days confined to a prison cell, his legacy completely shattered. Michael Jace, When TV Cops Become Real Criminals. Michael Jace portrayed an upstanding police officer on The Shield, but in real life, he became the villain in a horrifying true crime that stunned the entire nation. His calm, upright, on-screen persona masked a rage that turned deadly one tragic May night in 2014. Inside their Los Angeles home, in front of their own children, Jace shot and killed his wife in cold blood. The betrayal was unbearable, the shock reverberating nationally. The media erupted with headlines, "TV Cop Kills Wife in Front of Kids." The public, once charmed by his heroic screen presence, watched speechlessly as horror unfolded off-camera. The harrowing trial revealed details painting a portrait of a man completely unrecognizable from the hero he portrayed. The jury didn't hesitate. Jace received 40 years to life in prison, his acting career and family destroyed by one unforgivable moment of brutal violence. Sean Diddy Combs, Bad Boy's Federal Nightmare. Hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs built Bad Boy Records into an empire, launching careers of Notorious Big, Mace, and countless others. In September 2024, federal agents arrested the man who defined an era on charges that sent shockwaves throughout the entertainment industry. Prosecutors allege Combs orchestrated a criminal enterprise spanning over a decade, using his business empire to facilitate what they term freak-offs, elaborate, coercive sexual performances involving commercial sex workers and unwilling participants. The indictment details allegations of violence, intimidation, and systematic blackmail to silence victims. Federal raids on his Miami and Los Angeles mansions uncovered firearms, ammunition, and over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. Currently held without bail, Combs faces potential life imprisonment if convicted. His 2025 trial could mark the end of one of hip-hop's most powerful and influential figures, transforming a cultural icon into a federal prisoner. Jared Fogle, Subway's wholesome facade. Jared Fogle became America's unlikely hero, the regular guy who lost hundreds of pounds eating Subway sandwiches and transformed into the wholesome face of a national brand. His personal transformation story inspired millions while generating global fame, fortune, and widespread fanfare. But behind the smiling pitchman's public image lurked a dark and deeply disturbing secret. In 2015, FBI investigations uncovered Fogle's sickening double life, possessing and distributing child abuse material while seeking illegal contact with minors. The revelations horrified the public, representing an absolute betrayal of trust from someone who marketed himself as a family-friendly inspiration. Swift's conviction resulted in 15 years in federal prison. Gone forever is his image of inspiration and healthy living, replaced by the reality of a convicted predator locked away in disgrace. His fall shattered illusions about celebrity endorsers and the dangers of unchecked access to vulnerable populations. Jerry Harris, Cheer's fallen star. Jerry Harris was Netflix's Cheer breakout star, a bubbly, high-energy cheerleader who lit up screens and inspired millions with his infectious spirit and positive attitude. His viral fame represented wholesome achievement and athletic excellence. But behind the cameras and adoring fan base, Harris concealed a disturbing double life that would leave supporters shocked and betrayed. In 2020, Harris faced arrest for soliciting explicit content from minors online. Investigations revealed a disturbing pattern of online exploitation involving multiple young victims. The contrast was gut-wrenching. America's cheer darling now stood accused of preying on the very fans who adored and trusted him. In 2022, Harris received 12 years in federal prison. His journey from Netflix glory to federal inmate was swift and absolutely shattering, destroying not only his career, but the trust of countless young people who saw him as a role model and inspiration. Josh Duggar, family values hypocrite. Josh Duggar was the poster boy for family values on 19 Kids and Counting, the reality series celebrating faith, discipline, and wholesome living. Behind his carefully crafted public image, however, Duggar hid secrets so vile they shocked even his most loyal supporters and fellow believers. In 2021, Duggar faced arrest and subsequent conviction for possessing child abuse material discovered in a hidden computer partition at his workplace. The investigation revealed a double life that completely contradicted everything he publicly claimed to represent and believe. In court, evidence was graphic and absolutely undeniable. Sentenced to 12.5 years in federal prison, Duggar's fall from grace was swift and devastating. From devout role model to disgraced convict, his name now represents betrayal, hypocrisy, and the dark side of false virtue. His scandal shattered his family's reputation and their lucrative television empire built on supposed moral authority. Allison Mack. From Smallville to cult leadership. Allison Mack charmed audiences as the girl next door on Smallville, beloved for her sweet smile and wholesome appeal. But her real-life role proved far darker than any villain she faced on screen. Behind the scenes, Mack became a key player in NXIVM, a so-called self-help organization that unraveled into a secretive, abusive cult. Mack wasn't merely a follower. She actively recruited women into the group under false promises of empowerment, only for them to be branded, manipulated, and systematically abused. When the horrifying truth emerged, it stunned Hollywood and her loyal fan base. Arrest and charges for racketeering and conspiracy followed in one of the most disturbing celebrity-linked scandals in recent memory. In 2021, Mack received 3 years in prison. Her transformation from rising star to convicted cult leader shocked fans and industry peers alike, proving that even beloved actresses can hide monstrous secrets behind innocent facades. Jen Shah, Real Housewife, Real Criminal. Jen Shah flaunted designer bags, private jets, and extravagant parties on The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. But behind her glittering facade operated a multi-million-dollar scam targeting society's most vulnerable members. While boasting luxury on screen, she secretly ran a nationwide telemarketing scheme defrauding elderly victims of their life savings. In 2021, FBI agents swooped in during filming. Her arrest was captured on camera, unfolding like a surreal scene from her own reality show. Initially denying everything, Shah eventually pleaded guilty when overwhelming evidence mounted against her criminal enterprise. In 2023, she received 6.5 years in federal prison. From reality TV queen to convicted fraudster, Shah's downfall proved as dramatic as her on-screen persona. Her victims, primarily elderly Americans struggling financially, lost their retirement funds to finance her lavish lifestyle and television fame. Her case highlighted how reality TV wealth often masks criminal activity. Ryan Grantham, from Riverdale to life sentence. Ryan Grantham's journey from Riverdale actor to convicted murderer stunned fans and the entertainment world. Known for soft-spoken roles and baby-faced innocence, no one predicted the horror lurking beneath his clean-cut exterior. His confession rocked headlines and shattered illusions about young Hollywood stars. Grantham admitted the unthinkable, murdering his own mother while she played piano at their family home. The motive remains a haunting mystery that investigators couldn't fully unravel. Even more disturbing, he had packed weapons and Molotov cocktails in his car, allegedly planning to assassinate Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau next. Though he never followed through with the political assassination, the revelation painted a terrifying portrait of a young star lost in darkness. Sentenced to life with no parole possibility for 14 years, Grantham's prison cell became the only stage he'll ever know again. His case raised serious questions about mental health in young performers. Bill Cosby, America's fallen dad. Bill Cosby was America's dad, the beloved comedian who taught life lessons on The Cosby Show while making millions laugh with wholesome humor. His squeaky clean image made him one of entertainment's most trusted figures for decades. But behind the sweaters and fatherly smile lurked a calculated predator using power and influence to drug and assault women. Accusations surfaced in the mid-2000s, but momentum built when comedian Hannibal Buress called Cosby a rapist during a 2014 stand-up routine, sparking a media firestorm. Suddenly, dozens of women courageously shared eerily similar stories spanning decades of abuse and systematic cover-ups. In 2018, Cosby faced conviction for aggravated indecent assault, receiving 3 to 10 years in prison. Though his conviction was later overturned on legal technicalities in 2021, the irreversible damage to his legacy was complete. The man who embodied moral authority became a symbol of how power corrupts and institutions protect predators far too long. These 15 stories reveal a disturbing pattern. Fame and power often corrupt absolutely, transforming beloved figures into criminals who betray the very fans who elevated them to stardom. From MMA fighters to family men, tech innovators to television stars, no one is immune to the dangerous allure of unchecked authority and celebrity privilege. Their falls remind us that public personas are carefully constructed illusions, often hiding the darkest human impulses. Behind red carpets and award shows lurk predators, fraudsters, and violent criminals who exploited their positions to harm innocent victims. These celebrities didn't just lose their freedom. They shattered the trust of millions who believed in their carefully crafted images. Perhaps most chilling is how long many operated in plain sight, protected by fame, wealth, and industry silence. Their stories serve as sobering reminders that true character isn't measured by applause or accolades, but by how power is wielded when no cameras are rolling. Which celebrity downfall shocked you the most? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping investigations into the dark side of fame.